In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I passed my first, second, and third year medical school exams. Now, if you're expecting some sort of shortcut, unfortunately we both know that's not possible, but there are ways of speeding up both the written and practical aspects of the exam. Firstly, for the written aspect, a key tool is Notion. Notion, as many of you may have heard of, is a productivity tool which can be used for a variety of tasks, such as organizing your calendars, writing to-do lists, but it can also be used for your lecture notes. And the best way to do this is by this strategy. So first of all, when you attend a lecture, whether you're at Imperial, whether you're at King's or any other university, you have your lecture slides and you have your lecture notes. So first of all, make sure you understand this, because if you don't understand the content from the lectures, there's no point going on to Notion. Once you've understood this, it's really important that you use this knowledge in order to create questions. So let's say if the lecture is about mitosis, you really want to make sure you've understood this information and then portray this into questions. So let's say, what are the stages of mitosis? You've understood this from the lecture, and then you just have to write down the answers in a toggle format in Notion. By toggle format, what I mean is you can hide the answers, so therefore when you revise it, you can just see the questions. And I think this is really good because it forces active recall, which is essential for medicine. I think it's really important that instead of just memorizing or rote learning, we test ourselves and we really understand the concepts behind it. So firstly, understanding the lecture and making sure that you can grasp the content so that you can convey the information into questions. Secondly, with Notion, you can color code, which I think is really helpful. So a lot of questions you might be very confident on, and so you can color code this green. Some questions you might get some parts of it, but not all, so you can color this yellow or amber. And some questions you just keep getting wrong or you keep forgetting important detail, so you can color code this red. And this is really helpful because when you're revising and you have very little time, you don't want to sift through Anki and go through a million flashcards just to find the one which you were struggling on. Whereas in Notion, you can see specifically, okay, this was highlighted red, let me look at this again, and then you'll be able to understand what's important really well. And I think that's really helpful is with the color coding, you can highlight what is high yield. And what I mean by high yield is content that comes up again and again and again. So a lot of schools have past papers or formatives. And I think these are really helpful because they can guide you as to what is important content, what is high yield content, so important as well, and what content is very minute and not likely to be tested on. And I think this is really important because if you're running out of time or if you are very stressed about what to prioritize, make sure you prioritize content which is likely to come up. So something very specific or a specific protein, you're not likely to be tested on, whereas the process of it or what can happen is much more likely to come up. And a final point, the idea of seniors. So if you have seniors in school, please, please, please use them. And what I mean by this is the seniors have been through the first year as you have. And so you can use their lecture notes and get questions already from them. So for me personally, for example, let's say we had 10 lectures in the year. The seniors have already done the lectures, and so they've already got their lecture notes. They've already made questions. So all I had to do is just literally put that into my Notion, into a format that was aesthetically pleasing for me, and then I just had to do active recall the whole year. And I think this was really helpful because it saves a lot of time because you don't have to manually make the questions, and you can also add information accordingly. So I don't see why not. So overall, Notion is a really great tool because not only is it aesthetically pleasing, that's why I prefer it over Anki. You can also color code it so you can see what parts are high yield, what parts you're struggling on, and you can also import notes from your seniors so that it's really easy to just revise and go forwards from there. Secondly, using Anki. Although I have just said that Notion is better than Anki, for anatomy, I cannot emphasize that Anki is far superior. This is because with anatomy, you have a list of just images that you have to go through. And it's kind of hard to do this in Notion because it'll be very, very long. It's not really written text. And so once you understood the basics of anatomy, then just sit down and just go through the anatomy flashcards. I have a couple of friends that just a couple of days before their exam, they just went through tons and tons of Anki for anatomy and were able to pass. So if that works for you, go for it. But I think starting early and just looking through it is really good. But before you sit down, make sure you have a basic understanding because otherwise you won't understand the specific words and you're literally just memorizing. So if they ask a question saying, why is it called this or what innovates this, it'll take a lot longer for you because you're just mugging it. But if you understand that, okay, this is part of this system, this is why it innovates it, then it's much easier. And the best way to do this is first of all using the actual atlas, the Rohan's atlas, because it's quite big and you can literally see in context of every single one and different parts. So the head, neck and spine, for instance, the thorax, so on and so forth. And you can see in the context, or you can go back to just cartoon images. So by cartoon images, I mean non-cadaveric images, because this is much more easier to understand and much more easier to link. So many of you may be asking, what about the lecture notes? Are they not helpful at all? And as I mentioned before, they are helpful. it's helpful to understand the basics. So what I would do personally as a student, if I could go back in year one, is sit in the lecture and understand the content that's being presented to me. Because in the lecture, they're just not asking you to memorize, but rather understand the information. And this is the best opportunity to do so. Let's say from the lecture, you understand 40 to 50%. It's very unlikely that you understand everything. Now, what you have to go back and just watch the lecture again. Maybe certain parts of it if you understood the rest of it. But it's really important that you sit down and watch this again, because you need to understand all the lecture before you can move on to Notion or Anki, whichever one you prefer. Once you've done this, then convert the questions or use the questions from the seniors, and then you're able to just test yourself repeatedly, and you don't have to look at the lecture slides again unless some concept doesn't make sense in your Anki. Now, moving on to PassMed versus QuesMed. So this is dependent on every university. For Imperial students, we use this in third year when we have our clinical years, whereas other universities, I know, for example, King, start as early as first year. So it is dependent per university. But this is used for clinical medicine. Now, a top tip, and I cannot emphasize this, is don't just jump into PassMed or QuesMed. A lot of people, a lot of seniors, unfortunately, do say just start doing PassMed and then you slowly learn it as you go along. But I think this is really difficult because if you don't have any basic knowledge of what's going on, then it's going to be really hard to put terminology into context. So a better way to do this is have some basic terminology. So again, using Notion from your lecture slides, understanding content, or even when you use PassMed, they have tools that can explain the information before you do it. So let's say, for example, atrial fibrillation. It'll explain what it is, explain the pathophysiology behind it, and then you can do questions for it. And I think this is much better because that way you can test yourself and you're actually understanding what's being asked and you also understand the explanation. Whereas in the other way, if you just go straight into PassMed, you might not understand what's going on, and again, you're just falling into the trap of memorizing. A lot of medicine isn't actually to do with memorization, in my opinion, but it's a lot of it to do with understanding and applying it to different contexts. Now, with PassMed or QuesMed, it is very dependent upon user. I personally use both because a lot of students, including myself, fall into the trap of pattern recognition. So with PassMed, that's the one that many students recommended. I got really good at it and was just able to look at specific keywords, and even without reading the options, I knew which one it was. And that's obviously not what you want, because in the exam, it's not going to be exactly identical of PassMed or exactly identical of QuesMed. And so pattern recognition is not ideal in the situation. So that's why you want to switch over to QuesMed in that sense. And then I got a feel of different questions. I was actually reading the question and trying to decipher what's going on rather than just looking for specific buzzwords, which is still very good. It's important to look for specific buzzwords because that way you can remove red herrings or remove complete wrong options. But it's also important that you just don't go to the answer straight away. So that's why I like interchanging in between. Again, it is up to you guys depending on the pricing, because I know the prices vary. But look at your seniors or ask your seniors as to what the best one is. In our university, for instance, a lot of seniors recommended using PassMed simply because it was slightly harder than what's to come up in the exam typically. And so that's why I went with and used PassMed more religiously. So, OSCEs. OSCEs are probably the biggest concern for most people, simply because it's something that's completely different. And that's perfectly fine. But I think the best part is start early. So if you have clinical placement, so in third year, for example, then start learning that early or start asking the doctors to give you advice on it, because this will be really helpful because it's something that's completely unfamiliar to you. Secondly, start with basics. It's really important that you know what's going on, but it's also important that you start with basics. So, for example, with the cardiology, make sure you just get comfortable with listening to the heart, listening to the different heart valves, and also don't start with something complex like attenuation maneuvers, because you don't know why you do it or what the understanding behind it. So, first of all, start with basics. Also know the basic physiology. So, going back to the valves, if you just memorize the position of the valves but don't really understand why it's there or what the purpose of it, then again it gets really difficult. Whereas if you understand, okay, this is where the atrial valve is, this is where the mitral valve is, then it makes a lot more sense in context. When practicing, a lot of different tools. I personally use two tools religiously. One was simply OSCE. This is because I quite like that if you scroll down to the end of each page for cardiology, neurology, so on and so forth, they had a checklist, so you can literally go back and tick every single one, and they also had a timer, so that way you can time with your friends and also check. And it goes on to my next point, practice with your friends. I think this is probably one of the most fun aspects of the exam, the idea that you can practice multiple times with your friends or even family members. I personally really like practicing with med students first, which is contrary to many other students, because at the beginning you're learning as well. So let's say your friend spots something that you didn't, that's something that you've added. And let's say you understand some physiology and they didn't, you can explain that to them. And it's really helpful. Whereas if you have a non-med student, okay, it's good that you can practice because they will know the basic stuff, but also they won't be able to explain something if you get it wrong. So it's up to your own interpretation. So with the OSCEs, definitely practice, because practice makes perfect. First prioritize med students and then prioritize non-med students. So overall, I've given you guys lots of tips, but the two main things that I want you guys to take away is first, start with basics. You heard me say this throughout the video, but starting with basics is really helpful because it explains to you why each thing makes sense, and you can also learn the high yield content, because in the exam they're not going to test the specific details but rather the high yield basic information which they want you to know and want you to be a good doctor with. So with the OSCEs, they don't care about specific maneuvers. Oftentimes you can just offer them and they won't really ask them in the first to third year. However, they care about the overall exam. And also, secondly, make sure you start early. I think it's really important whenever you feel like, okay, now I should start, now I should start, you keep postponing it because you think you have time or you have the Easter break. But I think it's better to start slightly earlier. That way you can relax slowly or take it slightly more chill rather than just cramming it all at the end of Easter. Because long-term memory is always better than short-term memory. Because the stuff that you learn, especially in third year, you will need it later down the line. After your intercalated year, for example, if you decide to do so, you will need it in fifth year. So if you have some good long-term memory, then it will stay with you longer, as obvious. But if it's short-term, you're not going to retain much information. So hopefully this video helped, and if it did, please leave a like and comment.